we live?
Yeah, we are.
Shit, hold on, my drinks. Okay. Are we live now?
Yeah,
We're live,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Hold on, I can do it. Can you access your phone to the IG story live so we can see the messages?
Okay.
Okay.
Drop a voice.
Hello, hold on guys, give us a minute. Can they hear us? I think they can hear us, right?
Yeah, they can. Can you? Hello.
Yeah, they can hear us, they can hear us.
Wow.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Sorry, a minute. I'm trying to access like some things from here. Okay. Okay, so as you guys can see, right, there's just only like the two of us. This is because like the school, right, only allow 2 people max to do the live session, so there's just only the two of us to be answering the question today. But regardless, we will still try our best to answer all of your questions. And for some of you guys know, right, usually we will just if there are no questions, usually we'll just come up with our own questions for you guys, just to make sure that we answer all of your queries. But we decided to try something different today because all of our life is always focused on different types of questions. But rather we will be talking about our experience in MUN, so that you guys will have an idea of what to expect when you are in training and when you are in the actual HNMUN itself. Okay? So before that, right, are there any questions right now?
Okay.
No question, is it? Oh, Ethan is inside, yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
hello Ethan. Oh my god, like one trainee come and see me, so happy, yeah.
What's the likelihood of Boston?
What's the likelihood of Boston happening? We don't really have an answer yet, but from what we see from the Harvard Instagram page, right, and on their official website, they are still updating, they are still updating like their undersecretary, and it for now it seems like everything is as per usual. Yeah, so just keep a lookout for it lah. Of course, we will update you guys of the progress as well. So, Ethan, or is there anyone like that? Any questions? Okay, so what should we start off with? If you guys were to sign up this Harvard National Model United Nations, right, I will roughly bring you through the timeline of the program. So you will start off with, I would say, about 2 to 3 months of training, and within this 2 to 3 months of training, usually we'll break it to about 4 community sessions, 3 practice rounds, and 1 final session. Okay, we will have 3 practice rounds and 1 final session. So this 1 final session, right, will actually determine, the trainers will determine from your final community session if you guys are capable of representing SIM and Singapore to participate in the HNMUN conference. You have anything that you want to add up?
No. Not yet.
Okay.
I want to answer this question.
Okay. So that is the rough timeline lah. And right now we have a question from F.CYT. He says that is HNMUN hard. I will leave it to our director.
Okay. Hello and thank you for the question. Okay, HNMUN is, I will not lie, it is quite challenging in the beginning, but the trick is to find your own pace. Okay, so you'll be asked to do a lot of research, practice a lot of giving speeches, and also practicing your lobbying or your negotiation skills with other delegates. So all of this in the beginning is going to be very challenging, it's going to be very overwhelming, but please do things one step at a time and it will just fall into place. That's my personal experience, and I actually found the process to be quite fun and enjoyable as time went on. So please don't look at it in a negative light. Take it in stride, and all will be well.
For me, I feel that actually HNMUN is not exactly tough. I would just say that it's a little bit time consuming. Besides all the research that you are being told to research on, right, is usually good for you. It's beneficial because you will get you'll keep yourself updated with what is going on around the world. So for example, for our first training, right, our first community session, our topic was actually on the Kurdish question. So given like someone who did not exactly read a lot of like world issues, it was considered the first time that I read up on the Middle Eastern country issue, you know. And so from there I did my research, and now I understand more of what's going on around the Middle Eastern region, or in fact around the world. Yeah, so that is some of the things you can get away. Yeah, and you want to add on?
Answer the second question.
Is there a second question?
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
the second question?
The second question is, what are the differences between HNMUN and other MUNs? And if you have joined a conference, other conferences, can you still join HNMUN? Okay, I'll answer the first one first. The difference between HNMUN and the rest of the MUN is basically the heritage. HNMUN is the longest running college level model UN simulation. That means it has a lot of history. It started like half a century ago, and in that sense they are more aware of how things are run, and they are more professional. With that said, that doesn't mean that other MUNs are not as good. It just means that you are in a prestigious conference lah. In terms of whether you can still join if you have past experiences, the answer is yes. That means if you have joined, let's say, a regional MUN or Yale MUN, you can still come join HNMUN because we are practicing for this particular conference. And the skills that you learn the skills that you gain will still be usable outside of MUN conferences. You can still use it in your workplace, you can still use it in school. So there's no harm in joining.
I just want to really like reiterate what our director said, what Mutasim has said, is that we are practicing you to be a HNMUN delegate at a HNMUN kind of standard. But at the end of the final committee session, right, all of you will actually receive a cert from our faculty advisor. And that being said, you are actually a trained MUN, regardless of HNMUN, regardless of World MUN or any other MUNs. You are just trained, and you are trained, right? This would mean that next time in Singapore there's any like local MUNs, or let's say S-MUN or NTU MUN, then you will still be able to join, and you don't have to take the additional effort to actually read up what do you need to learn as a delegate anymore, because you're already trained here. So it is not exactly a loss if you did not get selected for the final team. So that is what I want to highlight to the students that previously participated in HNMUN, but is still contemplating whether they should join for a second round. I would just say go for it. We will still try our best to talk to other MUNs out there, to try and liaise with them
and help organize our own MUN.
Correct. Yeah. Is there any other questions right now?
Okay, Sean said hello. Hello.
Hello. Hey, you help me keep a lookout for
Yeah, sure,
the message,
sure.
because I can't really see from here.
Okay. Don't have knowledge, would it be very hard to catch up? Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, if you don't have a lot of knowledge, would it be very hard to catch up? Okay, that's not entirely true, because it's just a matter of reading the newspapers or keeping yourself updated through online news articles, and this doesn't require a lot of effort. So as long as you know what's going on around the world, you already have half the battle has already been won. All you have to do now is to dig even deeper, and that will require time, that require effort, but it's not hard. So if you have the motivation and if you can sacrifice some of your time to do those things, then it will be quite easy lah. It will be relatively easy.
Correct.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, right, I feel that for someone like me, when I first joined, I also didn't have prior knowledge to what is going on, like I've mentioned earlier. But I think that if we are committed, we are able to do it. And at the same time, right, we must see it from a perspective that HNMUN is not always just about understanding what's around the world and everything. But what our trainers taught us, right, is that HNMUN is actually a social game. Just think of it as a social game. So other than knowledge and your knowledge on the world issues, what is going on, you must also be very good with, like, let's say, communicating, which is why we also advocated for negotiation skills and your communication skills as well. And on top of that, right, it will also build up your own confidence, because you'll go out to the world stage, you will speak up of your concerns as a delegate of the country in front of 100, 200 over delegates. So this is joining this program, right, will actually allow you to drastically improve yourself, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, and yet another question from FCYT. What if I get stage fright? Okay, that is something that you will have to overcome, because one major part of MUN is that you'll have to speak in front of a large audience, like what Lock Ping has said. You'll have to speak with minimum about 20-30 people, and if you get selected to Boston, it'll be a few hundred. So you have to overcome this fear, and not to worry, the trainers will actually be there to guide you and to help you overcome this. We will practice a lot of speech making, and we'll give you a lot of tips and tricks that have helped us when we were trainees. I can say that quite a few of our peers, we were also not so confident when we first started in MUN. But along the way, with the guidance of our trainers, we were able to be very confident and make very passionate speeches, and not be so self-conscious about it. So don't worry about it. We will guide you through.
Yeah. Actually, I just want to tell you what we've experienced, what we've seen along the way. There is a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine. Her name is Diana, and she, during the first committee session, the first practice, right, she was always a very reserved person, a very reserved girl. So during the first few of committee sessions, I kept sitting beside her, and I would always just, just elbow her, like telling her, like, hey, you should go up and speak. So she didn't speak, which I was quite sad that she didn't went up and speak, because as a friend, I told her that why not we just go to HNMUN together, But then subsequently, I think she really put in her best effort. I think for the third committee session, it was the last training, and she realized that she really have to step out of her comfort zone and just raise out the issue, or like the confidence, regardless she has stage fright or not, And from there, I really can see this drastic improvement from the first committee session to the final committee session that she's been through. And so, although she didn't get selected, but I'm still extremely proud of her. And yeah, so this is a very good example as to why attending the HNMUN program, even if you didn't get selected, right, is actually
Helpful.
Yeah, it's actually helpful to you. It's actually beneficial. There are some things that you won't be able to see it, but unless your friends tell you. So yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, next question is from FCYT again. Are the trainers very fierce? Okay, there will be times where we have to be firm, okay, but I can assure you that almost all of us are very friendly and very open, and we won't scold you for no reason lah. In fact, we will minimize any form of like scolding. We want to give you constructive feedback, so you don't have to worry about us being fierce, because we're not. We'll be firm, but we will still be very understandable, because like you, we are also students and we know what you're going through, because we've gone through it ourselves. So don't worry about it.
Sometimes we have to see from a perspective that being strict is not necessarily a bad thing. It helps to push you further, and it helps to reset the standards, this bar for you, such that you will see the drastic changes in yourself. And I think as compared to the previous trainer and right now, I think we've been pretty understanding. Our trainers definitely set a higher standards than for us, I would say, which I kind of appreciate it. But like what Mutasim said, if you really did, like, let's say a very silly mistakes, definitely we will have to point out the person, you know, and say why would you want to do this kind of silly mistakes. But if from start to end, right, your progress is consistent, we don't see any reason why we should school you. We will just give you our advice and our suggestions. Whether you want to take that advice or suggestion is up to you. It's entirely up to you. Yeah, but ultimately you have to ask yourself, do you really want to get into the final team of HNMUN? If your answer is yes, then you should accept the challenges. You should accept the suggestion made by the trainers. Yep. Are there any questions?
No.
Okay, if there's no other questions, right, then I will continue to move on with our experience. So I think for first community session, like I've told you guys, right, it's actually on the Kurdish question. So the first community session was not, how should I put it, spicy enough, because we were not exactly sure of what Model United Nations are until our faculty advisor actually spoke to us at the end of the final session, at the end of the first committee session. So he said that you guys are basically not representing your country well enough, because how can given an example like USA and China, how can they be so close to each other and not scold each other, you know, given that it's on Kurdish question, which is supposed to be very controversial. So we technically have to stand up, like as a delegate of the country, and you know, just go against the other country. So for example, if I'm China, I would just stand up against like what the United States have actually said, you know, and then I would just say, how can the United States of America actually do such a thing, you know, like the solution is, it's ridiculous, it's just it's not a viable option, you know. So you guys basically know what I meant, and I think that is just the beginning, you know. So our first community session was pretty much a peace conference according to our faculty advisor. I don't want to name who our faculty advisor is. I suppose you guys will know when you all join the program. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But you know, it starts to get like more exciting when you move to the second and the third committee session. Yeah, you want to explain more about like...
Yeah. Okay, I won't explain much into what we've gone through like the previous committee sessions, but one thing that is a core component of HNMUN is that when you are given a country to represent, you have to embody the country. That means whatever actions that you take, whatever things that you say, they must reflect on your country's stances. So when it comes to, let's say, the Xinjiang, the Uyghur population, you know, there's a crisis happening right now. If you are China, you are not supposed to take on a liberal approach and say, you know what, I think we did commit some human rights violations. As China, you're supposed to defend it. Similarly, if you are the USA, or if you are one of the Arab or Islamic countries, you will have to go hard on China, and you have to tell them straight up. And that means going up on stage when you are making the speeches, you have to be very, very vocal about it. Yeah. So the point is, you have to represent the country to the best of your ability. And if you don't do that, then you will lose your credibility.
Yeah. It's not that like we are trying to stir shit or anything, you know, but the problem is that because right now you are emulating a delegate of that country. So regardless of who you are, like let's say I've always been a very liberal person, but doesn't mean that I need to be liberal at all times, you know. Like even like for a country like China, if I'm very liberal myself, like individually I'm very liberal, but if I'm representing that country, if against means against, I cannot just say, oh, because I myself is a liberal, I have a liberal character or liberal personality, and so I will stick with liberal. So this is where delegates tend to make the wrong mistake, because let's just give it another example, like LGBT, for example, correct? If I am Iran, do you think that I should allow my own country, Iran, to open up to LGBT? Correct? It doesn't make sense, what? Because I'm representing that country and I say that, oh, Iran actually supports LGBT, when USA, right, is supposed to be the liberal ones. So I should go all out and say that I strongly oppose, this delegate strongly oppose to the LGBT as raised by, you know, the United States or in this community session. So this is basically what we are talking about, and this is what makes HNMUN so exciting, you know, because there's a lot of things that you can expect from there. Yeah.
What is that? Hello. That's our
M.
assistant
Pearson.
director. Hello.
Anira is in the chat. So, wow, 2 viewers walao, y'all don't like that leh. Sad leh.
Okay, what's this? Another question. If I'm representing the USA, do I need to channel Donald Trump? You have to channel his policies, but you don't have to channel him as a person. So you don't have to use, like, you know, excessive gesticulation or using very simplified words. You just have to echo his administration's policies. That's enough. But if you want to make it more exciting, of course you can you know, be a bit more theatrical about it and try to show a bit of the Trumpisms.
Yeah. Actually, right, what F.CYT highlighted, right, it was actually a pretty tough question, because right now, ever since Donald Trump got elected, right, his ideas, his ideology, his policies, right, are not exactly in line with the direction that the country is moving forward. So sometimes it will be sort of contradicting each other, you know. So like for example, Mutasim, right, he was actually USA in CS3. So they were doing this topic on LGBT, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, they were doing this topic on LGBT, which the country in general actually supports LGBT, but to Donald Trump, I think he's kind of against it, right?
He's more he's more conservative lah.
Yeah, he's not as liberal.
Because his support base is very conservative and right wing.
Correct.
And they don't support LGBT.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, right, we really have to it really have to depend on what kind of issues are you guys highlighting. I mean, it would be good if the issues highlighted, right, the country and the president is actually representing the same thing. But if you get like a really tough one, like let's say LGBT and you are USA, so it's extremely hard, because you will tend to get pinned down by it from all directions, you know. You'll get shot down by the delegates, from the trainers, and then they will ask you, so what are you exactly doing, you know? But how can I book things from there? I'm a delegate, so I represent the country, but my president is telling me a different thing. So when like there is a press corps coming in, correct, and the press corps can basically just fire at like the delegate of the United States. Yeah.
Is it okay? Next question by Ampersand. Is it more fun to represent a big or a small country? Would you like to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, I would say it depends on the topic. It really depends on the issue. So for example, I bet most of y'all would think that like getting big and major superpowers country, right, will usually have a big say into things. But for our first committee session, right, because the topic is on the Kurdish question, correct? So when you're talking about Kurdish question, the main topic is focused on the Middle Eastern region, which is Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and still got what other countries over there? Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and there's still one more country, Syria and Syria, correct? And Syria. So there's these 4 countries. So these are basically the main players, you know, in the committee session. So this plays a very important part. But on top of that, right, you also have external factors, which is China, Russia, and USA, because they may be manipulating, you know, like the facts or what is going on behind the scenes. So for Kurdish question, main players, Middle Eastern countries. But if you are right now talking about, for example, let me think about it, cybersecurity. Alright, our final committee session was actually on legal. The committee session was on legal, and the topic was cybersecurity. So if you think of it, right, for cybersecurity, it has definitely the countries most affected by it will be developed countries. So we naturally will think about countries like the United States, China, France, Russia, and maybe even North Korea, because North Korea places a lot of emphasis on how to say on cybersecurity. I wouldn't want to get like into details with that, but previously there was this very major hacking incident, and they suspected that North Korea was actually the ones behind it. So they might sort of like have a play in it, you know. Yeah, so if you're talking about cybersecurity, it's mainly developed countries and maybe those involved in like the hacking of cybersecurity as well. Yeah.
Next question.
Next question.
Okay, next question. Do you prefer to take up all the attention or work up the rank behind the scenes? Okay, this one is dependent on your skills, or depends on your preferences. Okay, because there are two. Okay, both of them are actually entirely fine. So you can use, if you're a very extroverted person, you can use your influential nature, like let's say your speech making or your lobbying skills. You can garner support in a very open, in a very extroverted manner. But if you feel that you can connect with other delegates in a more personal, in a more intimate way, that means you approach them one-on-one instead of approaching the whole crowd. That will work too. I've done both approaches throughout my trainee sessions, and they have all worked in some way or another.
What's the next question?
Next question. What if you get a country that doesn't have extensive foreign policy and a very internalized and nationalistic approach? For example, DPRK.
Wow. I'm quite surprised that like Jeremy is not here, because I think Jeremy will be able to answer you that, because he was freaking Nauru for like the final CS, you know, which is like basically the smallest country in the world. So wait, let me just read the question again. What if you get a country that doesn't have very extensive foreign policy and a very internalized and nationalistic approach? So for example, like based on F.CY is this question, right? For example, if you are like cybersecurity, if you have like, let's say cybersecurity, and then you, very internalized and nationalistic approach, you can just work your way around it, you know, because for our case, right, we are cybersecurity. So for cybersecurity, we still have some leeways, because like we are a very heavily militaristic nation. So we can start by saying that cybersecurity is very important, and therefore we need to approach the cybersecurity issues very seriously. Yeah, and so from there, right, we also have to ensure that our solutions provided, right, must be really within our country stance, and it must how to say, it must clearly reflect that it is for our country only. because you mentioned about DPRK, right? And DPRK basically don't give like,
They don't really care about other.
they don't really care about other countries out there. It's only for their country and only their own country, for their own interest. And so one of the challenges that I faced, right, for DPRK in my final committee session was that how to make my solutions be internationally applicable, but at the same time truly reflects on what the Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un wants. So we phrase it in a sense that the solutions, right, provided clearly protects our national assets, which is the military. And so whenever we highlight on issues, right, up on world stage, right, you can clearly see that it's represented us only, but we are also trying to highlight to other nations that without cybersecurity, right, this world is nothing. So basically that's it. I hope that answers your question though, because like I'm not exactly like sure where F.C wise this question is going towards.
Just to add on a bit more to what he has said, one of the ways, one of the things that is beneficial when you are a country like DPRK is that the rules may not really fully apply to you. That means if the press is being very critical about your stances, you have the option of totally disregarding and dismissing their questions, because like what he has said, the DPRK operates purely for their own interests. So there is a bit more leeway than if you are a country that is that has more stake like USA.
I really like MPSN's question on this. She said that if you can give an advice to your trainee self, what would it be? I would say that speak up as many times as you wish, like when you are in the training, because you wouldn't get a chance when you are in the actual HNMUN, and at the same time you needed training. So when you choose to isolate yourself during training, you won't stand to benefit at all, and I wouldn't ask you to join the HNMUN program in the first place, because the intention is for you to step out of your comfort zone. But even if you join the program, right, but you choose not to do anything at all, then what's the point of joining, correct? So advice to my younger self, advice to my trainee, my own trainee self, right, is that go up there, raise as many placards as you want, as you wish. In fact, like most of the time or every single time, and then just give a shot at it, really. So are there any questions currently?
I have a few that the one that
Then you can just say. Yeah.
Okay, these are some of the questions that we have prepared. Okay, so the first one is, what will we be trained on in a committee session? Okay, what the trainers are looking for is the depth of your research. Okay, we want to see how well informed you are and how much research you have made to support your arguments. Because you can be a very good speaker, but if it is all baseless, if all your content is not backed up by evidence or proof, then it shows that you are not really a delegate, so to speak. Okay, so we want to see you do a lot of good research. Second one, we want you to be good in lobbying. That means we will see how you interact with other delegates and how you try to convince them to back you up and support you whenever you make a speech. And that brings me on to the third point, which is your speech and how you convey your message, convey your ideas to the whole committee of about 20 or 30 people. So this will require you to be somewhat thick-skinned. You have to really embody the country that you are representing and express them as fluently and as convincingly as possible. So these are the things that you'll be trained on. The trainers will be giving you feedback on how to improve your speeches, how to improve how you communicate with other delegates, and how you do your research. Because these skills are very important for MUN in general. As a delegate, you have to have all of these three skill sets.
Okay, we have a question from F.CYT. Are there snakes in HNMUN? You bet, brother.
Sorry.
Countless, I tell you. Very countless.
Yeah, okay. For those who are not familiar with the term, okay, snakes are basically people who play both sides, and
Long story short.
to put it in a very diplomatic way, they are agents of chaos.
Long story short, double-headed snakes. It's two-headed snakes. It's really two-headed snakes. It's basically like on the front of it, hey, I really want to work with you, you know, you guys seem so friendly and everything. And then like at the back, you know, like these people, they are really just like not trustworthy, and let's work with someone else, you know. And we'll just break away from them. They'll really just break away from the first people that they meet up with, and then they will just say, nah, they are not worthy, so we're just gonna cast them aside. Yeah, no, we already experienced that a lot, and it's really not funny if like you really experienced it firsthand, because our trainers, or in fact some of us, we ever experience this two-headed snakes, and it really hurts lah, because you know for us delegates, we've put in a lot of effort. So basically HNMUN is actually 3 days, 3 main days, and these 3 main days, right, we will have to come up with all these documents, like a 30-40 pages documents. And then having said that, right, they will just stab you in the back, and then they will just say they want to work with someone else. So this basically means all your progress, right, has gone down the drain, you know. And so it's sometimes I would be extremely angry, but I have to pick myself up again, which is quite unfortunate, and then work with someone else again. That's just how it is lah.
Just to clarify, this is how the real world is. You know, there will be snakes in the workplace once you graduate from university. So this is in a way an early preparation for us. With that said, the trainers will not be will not be encouraging this kind of behavior, because it is quite unethical. As much as it is representative of the real working world, we do not want to see this kind of like antisocial behavior and manipulative behavior. Alright?
Okay, with what our director actually said, right, we do not encourage like such actions, but at the same time we want you to be prepared for it, because this kind of things is really it's bound to happen. If it's not by within your own, let's say your own team, or within like or within your own block, right, it's definitely going to happen if you're in HNMUN. So we want to train you to the extent that you guys are prepared. So yeah, so that's it. So the next question we have from MPSN is, have you ever been called out for giving out false information and research? I'm not sure I follow. If you are talking about trainers, then yes, our trainers ever call out for giving out false information and research, because it is extremely important to provide actual facts, and that not just some run-of-the-mill run-of-the-mill websites, you know, and just get from there, because your knowledge, your research, right, plays a very big part in being a delegate. If you are a delegate of a country but you find out and you get the false information, this explains a lot, not just you individually, but as a country as well. Yeah. Yeah, and if we are talking about, like, let's say delegates to delegates, right, being called out for giving false information, I think yes, there is also. And sometimes I think it's just like it will just be very awkward if a delegate were to point out on your mistakes. But I guess in HNMUN, right, you must learn how to be thick-skinned. That is what I've learned. You continue from there.
Okay, this is actually pretty fun because if you do realize that one of the delegates are presenting incorrect, incomplete, or flat out false information, it gives you the power to call them out and advance your own agenda. This is still within the rules. It's still okay. You're not being a snake. You are just calling things as they are. So when this happens, please use it to your advantage. That's all I can say.
Alright. I mean, like, it would be very unlucky for the delegate that research from the wrong website.
Yeah.
But to the other delegate that is against your country, right, it's really a plus point for them because it can dig out all their, you know, all the how should I put it? Like all the dirty stuff, basically, correct? If you get what I mean. Yeah. So MPSN has another question by saying, what about by the diocese committee or journalists? Okay.
Okay.
How should I put it? Just accept more if it's by the diocese.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you give out wrong information and somehow the diocese or the journalists, like the press call you out, then it's not really a pleasant experience lah, because your credibility will be going down the drain the moment you are called out. That is why you have to prepare your information and double check them before you come into the session.
There's something to play around. This is where DPRK comes in, because like what we've mentioned earlier, right? DPRK basically is like a regime that really doesn't really place emphasis on free press. Is it called free press or free? They don't really place emphasis on free press. So like let's say there are journalists, right, that comes into the committee session and then start to ask questions on DPRK or North Korea. So for North Korea, right, I can just say that we simply do not trust any sources from outside of North Korea, because we only believe the information that was only provided by the North Korea government. So this is how you can play it. And I believe it's not just North Korea lah. Maybe like you can try for our country, like maybe Eritrea is also okay. Yeah, maybe Eritrea or even Cuba. Maybe even Russia, I don't know. But Russia, I think you can sort of play around. It depends on the topic you are in also.
It depends on. You can also flip it. You can turn the tables, and actually question the press, because some of the press may not be as objective. You know, they may have their own hidden agenda. They can be backed out by countries that are not aligned with yours. So you can actually question their credibility, and that's how you bounce back lah.
Yeah, you know, right? I kind of love press corp. I don't know why, like most of the delegates, they don't enjoy being press corp. I guess because like my final CS, I was DPRK. So just like what Mutasim said, I counter questioned them. They asked me on cybersecurity, correct? And I rebutted them by saying that you guys are free press, correct? So if you guys are free press, right, can this delegate know where do you get this information from? And they sort of replied to me, I can't remember properly, but I think they replied to me like maybe it's from Australia or from US or something. And then I rebutted them by saying that, oh, so do you know that like such imperialistic countries like US or even Australia, they could give like a biased information or biased stats, you know, like against our great supreme leader Kim Jong-un. So that is how I play and I go against them. Yeah.
Another one is
Okay, so right now we have another question from MPSN also. If you could use one word, how would you describe yourself as a trainer, and what would be one objective you would like to teach your trainees at the end of this program? You wanna start first or I start first?
Okay, I'll start first.
Okay.
Okay. One word. One word would be logical. okay, I'm not really an emotional person, so whatever things that happen in CS, the feedback that I'll give will be logical and objective, because if you let your emotions control or take over you, then you will not perform properly as a delegate, because you are operating on facts, primarily facts. You can use emotions to enhance your position, but it must be based on facts. So that is my training style, which is to stick to the facts and make sure that you see through it. What objective do you want me to teach? Okay, I'd say work ethically. Okay, there are 1,000,001 ways to achieve your goal, and some of those ways are very underhanded and very malicious, and I do not want that kind of culture to be built within this training team. And I always stress that you have to work in a very ethical and a very fair manner, so that your conscience is always clean. The real world is not going to be like that, but this is something that I personally want to impart to the other people, so that when they go to the workplace, they will not use any means necessary to achieve their goal.
Okay, so for me, right, if you could use one word, what would you describe yourself as a trainer? I would say understanding, because I feel that for right now I'm a trainer, right? But back from the beginning, when I started this, when I joined this program, I was also a trainee. So I will try to use a very, I will try to be understanding towards my trainees, and then if they ever make mistakes or anything, I will try to hear from them first. I will want to see, like, I will ask them why did they make such a mistakes, and then from there I will just give my suggestions accordingly, because I don't want the trainees to feel that, like, I'm a very serious person, and in a sense that they feel that there is this barrier between a trainer and a trainee. But I don't want to have that. I mean, like, I have to respect, they have to respect that there is this trainer and trainee relation, but I don't want to really cut it to the extent that they treat me as a trainer, because I used to be a trainee as well. Yeah. And then, like, what would be one objective you would like to teach your trainees at the end of this program? I would teach them to stay ahead of the game, because I feel that HNMUN, there are really some committees that can be very cutthroat, and so by staying ahead of the game, right, you're already prepared for what is coming ahead of you, which is what our trainers did prep us for, and I'm really thankful, because apparently me and my co-delegate, right, we got one of the most cutthroat committee sessions in HNMUN, but then because we were prepared, we stay ahead of the game. That's why we don't really get, like, a lot of issues out of it. Yeah. So the next question is, do you get to meet more people, and is there a chance of finding a partner? We definitely met a lot of people there, which ultimately we became friends. Personally, I've met a few friends from the Netherlands delegation. They were extremely friendly. I am very grateful to meet them. And not just from the Netherlands delegation, I also met some friends from Indonesia as well. Indonesia delegation is it's really very friendly. I'm also like very glad that I've met them. Is there a chance of finding a partner? I don't know. If your luck is is here, then your luck is here, you know, then you just find it lah, you know. But I don't have to I don't have to teach, right? Like besides I okay, never mind, forget about it. Yeah.
Next question.
Okay, yeah. So another question by MPSN also. Hey, this is getting sidetracked. Can we not talk about like eye candies or like you know all those attached
Okay, the
stuff?
answer is yes. Okay, let's move on.
Okay lah, yeah lah. There's eye candies lah. There's definitely eye candies lah. Okay. Okay. Just saying my co-delegate also got eye candy
Oh.
Okay. So yeah, and is there any other like legitimate questions you all want to ask?
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. One question that we received before is, can we choose UN committees? The answer is no. The committees like DISAC, like WHO or SOCOM, these will all be selected by the trainers, and you'll have to deal with it lah. So whatever countries that you get, whatever committees that you get, they are all chosen by the trainers. They are all under their discretion, and you have to work with the countries and committees that you've been given. Another one is, will we need to do work over the weekends? Yes, because you'll need to spend some time doing your research. You'll need some time to lobby or negotiate with other countries, other delegates, and sometimes you can't do it over the weekdays because you have school or you have other personal commitments. With that said, we do not want you to spend too much time on this, because there has to be a work-life balance. No, you can't be focused on MUN all the way. You can't have you can't have your cake and eat it, basically. So please find a good balance in your lifestyle. We don't want you to be so overwhelmed with MUN that you feel like quitting because the workload gets too heavy. Alright?
But at the same time, like, how should I put it? If you really feel that like you are unable to focus or like multitask between HNMUN and studies, please just like talk to us, and then we will see like if we are able to help you, like give you any advice. But ultimately, if you still find that like it's too much for you to handle, it's okay. You can let us know, and then like you can just withdraw from like the program. I mean, we will understand. But at the very least, we hope that you could approach us first, and then we'll discuss and see like if there is any if there's any way that we can help you. Yeah.
Okay.
Question by MPSN will there be anyone that the trainees can approach if you face any difficulties? Yeah, correct. That's what we've actually mentioned earlier. If you ever face any like difficulties, do feel free to approach us, like any one of us. I know that sometimes it may be very awkward to actually approach a trainer like on a personal issue, or maybe like in terms of committing, in terms of commitment, I'm sorry. So but what we are telling you right now is that just text us. We are very friendly, although we are trainers, but we also want to try our best to help you in any ways that we can, because I understand how stressful this can be. When I was a trainee, I also had like thoughts of quitting, but luckily my trainer actually came to talk to me, like just one of the trainers, they came to talk to me, and then I accepted their advice and I stayed. So yeah, don't just quit because you feel like you are unable to you feel that you are unable to cope with it. At the very least, just let us know first, Yeah. So, yeah, are there any other questions? Because I think we're only left with about 6 minutes. So, yeah, about 5 minutes left. So, if you all got any question now, it's a good time to let us know. Because this is actually the final live session already. And to add on, right, we won't be participating for the second student involvement drive by the school. The reason being is because it will pass the deadline of the actual HNMUN registration, and we really have, and that is the reason why we set up our own student registration drive, which was like 2 weeks before the actual SID. Yep. So
Can wrap it already.
correct.
Is there no question?
I mean, yeah, now is a good time to ask the questions or in summary. But if not, we're just gonna like read through like some of the questions here until like time's up lah.
Oh, you wanna talk about the thing, like where to sign up?
Oh, okay, yeah. So if you guys are interested, right, our registration actually closed on the 23rd of September, which is this coming Wednesday. This coming Wednesday at 12
2 days
p.m.
from now.
Correct, 2 days from now. It will close at 12 p.m. on the 23rd of September, and that we have 2 ways of registering. Actually, three ways of registering. The first is actually via the email blast. I'm pretty sure some of you have received the email. The email from the student development. There is a registration link there, so you can sign up from there. And the second is via the QR code, which was provided by us. It is currently at the Facebook and Instagram pages. So do feel free to check out our social media platforms, and if you want to register, please scan the QR code. And last but not least is we've kept the link in our Instagram bio. So you can just click on the bio. It's actually the Linktree bio, I think. Click on that link. Once you are in the link, right, you'll be able to see like a bunch of, how to say, buttons. Yeah, so I think it's the very last one. Sorry?
Icons.
There are a few icons over there. So you just click on the last one that states on HNMUN registration. So that is the third way of registering. I just is there anything to add up?
Okay, we hope that the answers that we have given to your questions are helpful and give you a bit more insight as to what HNMUN is and how we operate. We really thank you all for joining us today in our live session. Like Lokping has said, if you are interested, even if you have any more questions, please send us an email, sim.modelun@gmail.com. If you have any questions, please just ask us there or ask us on Instagram. We'll be more than happy to answer you.
Yes.
We hope to see you in our training sessions in the near future.
We will try our best to answer all your queries. So do feel free to drop us the email like what Mutasim has said earlier. Or you can also drop us at Instagram as well. We can answer you guys from there. And that please don't wait for, I re-emphasize again, please don't wait for the second SID, because we will not be participating in the second SID. So 23rd is really the last day.
That's right.
And if you are really looking to really improve yourself, like gain knowledge on the world issues, and even building up confidence, then I think this is really the platform where you can join. Yeah, I think that's already.
So, yeah.
We really thank you guys for being so receptive. Is it called receptive?
I guess so.
Yeah, for being so receptive and asking so much question.
And to answer Ampersand's last question, okay, are we gonna reopen the registration, or if we miss the deadline? Unfortunately, no. So just send us an email immediately if you feel like joining us, or the link that Lokping has said, then we will work things out with you.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, we are only left with like 5 seconds. So
Right, thank you
we
so
really
much.
thank you so much. Thank you for your patience
Thank
and
you.
everything. We'll see you in the next one.